Paige, and I'm a certified recovery peer advocate, supervisor, and I work for outpatient treatment program named Bridge Back to Life. I've been working there for basically almost 5 years now. Bridge Back to Life is a treatment program for patients who struggle with substance use disorder. And being a peer has definitely put me into a position to be able to help other people who struggle with addiction. How I got to this point that I have my own struggles with addiction. I struggled with addiction for over 30 years, and at that time, my solution to getting clean was going to penitentiary. I've been incarcerated almost 8 times, been arrested 76 times. I was falsely accused of first-degree murder and armed robbery, and I was weeks away from a death penalty case before I was exonerated for that case. And being a peer, it's not just of employment for me, it's a way of life for me, because I get the opportunity to assist other people in their beginning journey on recovery, like someone did for me. From 8 to 4 in the morning, I try to, give my best. I start off and trying to figure out who I'm gonna contact today, because a lot of times now I do a lot of outreach, and I'm also the supervising peer, so I got to make sure all the other peers is on point, and being as effective as they can be as well in this field, and being in this field, you definitely have to understand the disease of addiction, and a lot of people don't understand that it is a disease, and just like any other disease, untreated, it could be fatal, man. Just like cancer, that's treatment for cancer with chemo, and the treatment for the disease of addiction is recovery, man. So we have to take our medicine, man, in this field, man. And the disease of addiction is definitely the way we think, right? The obsession and compulsion to use drugs, right? The obsession is no matter what, we constantly thinking of it, no matter how much we got. And the compulsion is once we get started, we can't stop, man. And to the bitter ends, jails, institutions of death, man. So to understand this disease of addiction and realize that it is a disease, right? And there's no cure for it, but however it could be arrested and then recovery is then possible. But we first, we must learn how to put the drugs down, and once you put the drugs down and get a little distance away from the drugs, then the recovery process is capable of starting. And that's where I come in. That's where the clinical counselor come in. That's where the mental health counselors come in, because they go like hand in hand, right? Mental health and substance abuse. And I had to address all those issues when I got clean, man, because it was things that I did in my past, and dealing with depression when it came to addiction, and not knowing that I was in the stage of depression. So, when a patient comes in, I definitely try to make sure they get everything they need so they can be as productive as they can be in this and live a new life. I struggled with addiction for a long time. It was a long road, but I found my strength in those struggles. My journey was difficult at times, but my journey has definitely helped me find my purpose. And I think my purpose is being of service to other people. And being of service is a posture of the heart. What comes from the heart reaches the heart. Like I said, it's not about income with me, it's about outcome. How many people that I can share my life with and hopefully help them find their way into a new way of living. I didn't get to this place of where I'm at today by myself. It was the people that came into my life, after I put the drugs down, that showed me how to live a new way of life, man. And then, I had to go to mental health treatment. I got a therapist. I went to outpatient treatment. It's different roads to recovery, man. It's definitely, but it's doable, and that's what I definitely let the patients that I work with know is everything is doable. I ain't no different than them. And that connection that we had with our identification with the pains and the horrors that comes with addiction. I'm talking about being shot and won't go in the hospital because I still got drugs in my pocket. That's the obsession, the compulsion to use. My desire to use was more than my desire to live, man. You know, at that time, man. I'm talking about being charged with first-degree murder and armed robbery and weeks away from a death penalty case. But none of that kept me clean because after I was exonerated from that case, I went back to using again. But now that I was able to put the drugs down, I gave my pain a voice, and I went from being, I consider myself a hope dealer. I went from being a dope dealer to a hope dealer. And for me, hope means hold on, pain in. We ain't always got to struggle with this, man. I was working in the hospital setting, in the emergency room, and I remember I've been working there a few months, and I was working with the nurses and the doctors and the social workers in the emergency room. And I had become, we had a healthy relationship, and it was a situation where a patient came in through the ambulance, and they didn't, they turned their nose up to the nurses and come in every week, you need to get yourself together, and they was whispering and laughing at him, sort of, and as a peer advocate, I advocate for people, it's so. In that situation because I was there. So I waited for a while, and I heard him talking and laughing about the patient, and they didn't want to work with him because he smelled, and he didn't look so good, and so forth and so on. And I pulled her to the side later on, and I educated her, so to speak. Because I told her, I said, how do you feel about me and you working together? How do you feel about me? Oh, Reggie, you good at what you do? We good, you my buddy and all of that good stuff. So I educated her and I let her know 3 years ago that was me. I was that person that you're laughing at and that you don't want to work with, that you're talking about smelling bad. I was that person, 3 years ago. So, never give up on these people, man, because, you never know how you can come in and affect a person and change their lives, So she definitely looked at me crazy and didn't believe me that I was that person, which I was, because those same struggles, that same dereliction, I experienced that in the horrors of addiction, So no matter how long, this is my motto, no matter how long a person travels in the wrong direction, at any point or some point, they can turn around and go back the other way, because I struggled with addiction for over 30 years. And now I'm not. Now I'm a supervisor at the job I work at. Now I'm the CEO and the founder and visionary of my own nonprofit organization. So one thing you can't do, man, when it comes to your family, your friends, or even your strangers, man, never turn your back on nobody. And that's what I do. I'm a certified recovery peer advocate. Yeah, that's what I do. We're in the business of saving lives. I don't try to enforce my way onto other people, because what works for me is self-help groups such as Narcotics Anonymous or Alcohol AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. That's what helped me. But it's more of me letting them find their own way, and then help them get to a point where they can be able to make their own choices. And I'm the type of person that I'm here for support and encouragement, because I know how hard the journey may be at some time. So basically, what I do is I'm like a resource broker. I introduce you to different sources of resources that can help them on their journey to recovery, such as mental health treatment, mental health services, medicated assisted treatment, faith-based treatment. There's many different roads to recovery, man. And I don't try to, because what worked for me might not work for them. I help them as far as fill out applications, basic needs. Like when I first came into recovery, there's a lot of things I didn't know how to do. I didn't know how to pay bills. I didn't know how to I was intimidated by looking for jobs and so forth and so on. And I found my way. I made recovery my foundation that I rebuilt my life. And recovery must come first for me. And I try to instill that into the patients I deal with. Like two of the qualifications as me working as a peer advocate is one, to have experience with active addiction and also have experience with recovery. That makes me make my job a lot more impactful. And I think as a peer, I think some of the skills that you have to have is being able to have empathy, compassion, and also boundaries. Because you can remember being in a place of despair, and wanting that help from somebody and wanting to go above and beyond. But you have to stay in a professional skill. Us peers, we work out of different modes, man. Sometimes we work out of hospitals and emergency rooms. We work out of inpatient and outpatient treatment programs. And sometimes we work as a team. And I think that connection, as that team, we work with social workers, doctors, nurses, and clinical counselors as well. And I think that I'm like the middleman between all of that, man, because sometimes patients don't want to talk to clinicians and doctors and lawyers, but their identification as a peer and their identification of struggling with addiction myself, that connection is sometimes the most powerful thing that can save a person's life, man. So at all times I have to stay teachable and I have to stay reachable at all times to be able to do my job the best I can. Thank you for allowing me to come in here and tell y'all a little bit about me and share my experience with the disease of addiction, and also share my experience with recovery. And you can find me on social media, many social media, different sites. So if you have a family, a friend who struggles with the disease of addiction, give them an opportunity to get better, man. Because these are not bad people trying to get good. These are sick people trying to get better. And any kind of support and encouragement will definitely or possibly put them on the right path, man. To other circles who work in this field, sometimes this job can get, overwhelming. Sometimes we want to take our work home with us. But if you struggle like I struggle with addiction, and you also have to stay, maintain your own recovery. It'll make you a better circle, So on days where you feel like you ain't getting to nobody, just keep pushing through it, because at one point somebody gonna get what they need from you. So don't ever give up on yourself, and don't ever give up on the patients, man. So definitely keep striving at this job, man, because we are definitely reckoned to be messing with in this field, man, and they need us and we need them, man. So keep doing what you're doing to all the circles all over the place, man. I salute you.